Okay. I'm going to teach you guys a BA. I'm going to give you a BA in Sean Combs, The Reckoning. So as you guys know, the first episode, all 4 episodes are available on Netflix. Has anyone started watching has anyone started watching the episodes of the first of Sean Combs' The Reckoning? I was shocked at how well done it is. It is so, so well done. The first 4 episodes, I mean, I didn't realize it was 4 episodes, but it's good. And immediately I was like, "Oh, I need to, like, give this my entire focus." There's so many good pieces of footage. Maddie, I have to call you. I saw your text. There's so many good pieces of footage, like, it really I mean, he has a videographer with him in those final days before he gets arrested. And then not only that, they interview his co-founder of Bad Boy Records. They interview the people, like, you have footage. The first episode is basically of when he was growing up and, like, starting in his career. So I find it really interesting. In fact, so 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson details his involvement in making of the documentary and a potential sequel. So he was in Deadline, which is there's a big article in Deadline this morning, and it talks about the fact that even though he's really into trolling Sean Combs, the documentary is not a trolling doc. It says he's not going to come up at random moments to mock Combs or make silly jokes. It's a professional documentary. And the reason that he picked the director, Alex, to work on it is because she's actually directed a lot of great documentaries. She's worked on Chelsea Handler's documentary. She worked on a documentary about Roger Corman, who is an actor and film producer. She's worked with a bunch of different documentaries, a docuseries Pride, which explores LGBTQ plus rights in the United States across decades. So Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent leaned on Stapleton to tell an unbiased story through her lens. And he really did want her to tell her story or tell the story through her lens because obviously he has a lot of proximity and a lot of strong feelings himself about 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 the story. So he really wanted her to tell the story. And he says what you were going to see in the documentary, you have to credit all of it to her. She put it through with her pacing and her telling of the story. That's why it doesn't feel biased at all. It was important for us for people to get their personal truths out. So there's a lot of really important talking heads in the documentary, like singer L.B. Sure, who was married to Kim Porter before she married Sean Combs. Aubrey O'Day of Danity Kane. I'll get into a crazy story about that in just a second. His former assistant Capricorn Clark, who was in the trial. Producer Lil Rod Kirk Burrows, who co-founded Bad Boy Records. Combs' ex-partner Cassie Ventura was invited to participate, but she actually declined. But they do talk about the relationship in episode 3. It's a challenging yet important watch, but it's worth noting that nothing was gratuitous and it was handled with respect. The same goes for the final episode when Lil Rod and Burrows open up about the abuse, including mental, physical, and sexual, which they say they experienced at the hands of Combs. For both men, it proved challenging to tell their stories in front of cameras. When men began, oh my God, I need to learn how to read today. Hold on. When men began accusing Combs of sexual abuse, there were comments on social media poking fun at Combs for potentially being gay or bisexual. However, the documentary positions that power and control are behind sexual abuse, not sexual attraction. The director noted that sexual violence is not a sexual preference. Sexual violence is sexual violence. If one commits crimes like that or commits assault, I think that's a very, very big thing that is very important to the series. This is not about identifying his sexuality at all. When you have someone who assaults people, the conversation about their sexuality should actually be kept outside. It was important to show that there are women and men, and this is their truth. These are their allegations, and for them to be able to be safe to share those. He says, I absolutely agree with what you said because the power in being able to be every individual that the woman is in a sexual act with is allowing him to physically be the size of every man that she delivered. And that is, I'm turning her all the way out. I'm going to do this and do that. So because he had her in a space where he could get her to follow whatever instructions he would offer, he did the most, particularly with Cassie. It says working with Netflix, one would think the legal team behind a documentary like this would be extremely diligent regarding what stories were off limits. So the stories at the center of the project will be familiar, but with Stapleton adding a different point of view. Across the 4 episodes, each episode has different moments in his life. Like growing up as the son of Janice Combs, his college years. Episode 3 goes heavy into his potential role into the murders of Tupac and Biggie. And this doc makes a strong case for how and why he could have been involved, as well as his connection to Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the former gang leader who was arrested and charged with Tupac's murder. And then there are obvious moments where the viewer will wonder why something isn't explored further at all. For example, singer and producer Cher, born Albert Joseph Brown, never addressed the medical emergency that left him with organ failure, among other serious health issues, which had been alleged to have been some of Combs' handiwork handled by someone other than him. So there's certain things that are left out. I also think that all of Jay-Z's stuff is left out from the documentary. I don't think they bring up Jay-Z at all in the doc at all. Amber's asking, is it on Netflix? Yes, it's on Netflix. Uh so he says they're saying that there's more to come. More civil suits are coming down the line. I see this really as a new beginning in storytelling, going behind the curtain to understand what happened. My prediction is that there will be probably more storytelling after this, she said. They don't think that the cases are going to be anywhere close to being over. And it's going to be, yeah, it's definitely not telling his story from a positive side at all, but it's not like a hit piece on him. It's a very truth-telling piece, is what we're hearing from all sides involved. And from what I can tell, it's actually really well done so far from what I've seen. So congratulations to Netflix on it. And I also, speaking of Netflix, you guys, Stranger Things Stranger Things was having like a little bit, I didn't want to get into it on this episode, but I did on my other podcast, how there was a lot of these people that were trying to boycott Stranger Things in a strange twist. But Stranger Things turns Netflix upside down with record-breaking premiere week, by the way. So Netflix is killing it right now. Killing it. Now, I want to get into this Aubrey O'Day story really fast. This is a wild story. Aubrey O'Day from Danity Kane is in the documentary. She's interviewed in the documentary. If you guys remember, she was supposed to, there was like word that she was going to be in the trial and she was going to be on the witness stand, and she never was. But in this documentary, she addresses claims that she has no memory of allegedly being raped by her former boss, Shawn Diddy Combs. So in this docuseries, Shawn Combs: The Reckoning, he read an affidavit from a woman who claimed that she witnessed Diddy allegedly engaging in the crime as Aubrey was sprawled out on a leather couch looking very inebriated. So the affidavit that she's reading says that Aubrey was naked, and just, trigger warning. This is obviously a little bit of graphic. She was naked from the bottom half and she had something over her top. Puff Daddy was penetrating in her V, and there was another stocky, light-skinned man with his what in her mouth, the affidavit read. And so Aubrey's reading this and she says, well, I don't drink at all. It's never been an issue with me. And she says, but I have no memory of what the woman claimed happened, and I would rather leave it this way. And she says, even after I told her I didn't have a recollection of this, I said, could she be making a mistake? I asked in every way I possibly could think of, and she was certain, the pop star alleged in the documentary. And then she says, does this mean that I was raped? Is that what this means? I don't even know if I was raped, and I don't want to know. I don't want to find out any more of what that woman has to say, Aubrey says. If the woman was lying about the alleged crime, the songstress said she would retaliate. However, Aubrey shared that she wouldn't want to give Combs legal team any power to discredit other victims. If she made it up, I would be compelled to take her the F down, she explained. And you realize the burden that puts on my soul for the past year, which is if I expose one victim who's got a civil lawsuit that gives Diddy and his legal team credit to take down everybody else as potential liars. It goes right back on my shoulders just like that. The weight of that man and his bullshit. Um, I will never get up from under it. So, she does claim that she was groomed during her time with Danity Kane, that Diddy made it clear that I was the looker, she says. I remember that phrase a lot. He was separating me and there was a different set of expectations for me and I just naturally float into the grooming. She also claimed that he sent her explicit photos via email. She says, I do have emails with pictures of his penis, she said before reading one of the emails aloud. Um, I'm going to read you guys one of the emails very fast. Hold on. She said in the email, I don't want to just F you. I want to turn you out. I can see you being with some MFer that you tell what to do. I make my woman do what I tell her to do, and she loves it. I just want blank and like blank to do things different. I'm a finish watching this corn and finish. God, this is crazy hard for me to read. Blank. Finish playing. I'll think of you, happy face. If you change your mind and get ready to do what I say, hit me. Happy face. God bless Diddy. God is the greatest. And 6 months later, she claimed she was terminated from the girl group. She says, I absolutely felt that I was fired for not participating sexually, but I also found out later that fellow Danity Kane members Dawn and Puff were recording a different project. I was the star of the show, and Puff needed to move that entire audience over to a new project. And that's that. So she's interviewed in the documentary. In case you guys just kind of want a little memory of what they looked like when they were working together. This is Aubrey and Puff Daddy when they were working together back in the good MTV days. It's really just devastating. And this is what she looks like now when she's being interviewed. It's a really crazy story. She's straight up saying, I have no memory of having been experiencing this. I mean, it's pretty, you guys, this guy ruined a lot of lives. Like, it's bad. Real bad. Real bad. I will definitely continue to watch it, and I think you guys definitely should as well. And we can keep talking about it. We'll talk more on Patreon and stuff about it too. Okay,